which is fine by me, but I didn't know
Yeah.
like if you were in the headspace to talk about it or if it was
I am
like
in the headspace to talk about whatever. Like I said, I'm
okay.
just grateful for you, for your patience.
Oh
We
yeah.
spent the entire day. Let me just tell you this crazy. It's funny to me.
Yeah.
So a couple of weekends ago, we bought my youngest grandson a bike. Okay. So it needed air in the tire, and we had all week. He's been looking forward to coming over here this weekend, so him and Granny and Grandpa can go for a bike ride, right? So
Mhm.
my daughter drops him off at noon. That's plenty of time for us to do this bike ride so I can be podcasting at 6.
Mhm.
But he needed some air in the tires. So Grandpa's trying to put air in the tires, and the little tube that goes into the inner tube literally just fell off, which are bad because he bought it somewhere where we shouldn't have bought it from anyway because we're not supposed to be giving them money. He bought it at Wally World. So I'm like,
Sometimes you got to do what
okay,
you got to do.
well, yeah. So, well, it was either that or Target for the area that we live in. So, So, I'm like, all right, well, we just bought this bike, so you need to take it back and exchange it. Like, we're not, no, absolutely the fuck not, right? So he
Mhm.
goes to Walmart. They don't have that exact bike, but they have one that's similar for a few less dollars. He exchanges, brings the bike home. It's got a flat tire. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna just put some air in it, right? The inner tube had a hole in it. That's the short story. So now we got to go back up there. This makes trip number 3 if you're counting. So I go to the counter and there's this little old. Now, mind you, I told you I live southwest, South Metro Atlanta. The area I live in is extremely Trumpy. I sent you the RIP Charlie Kirk sign that I drove past the other day. Okay. So I get in the Walmart and it's this little old, like, she looks so racist and Trumpy. You can't judge a book by its cover. I'm just telling you what she looked like. She
Mhm.
might be like the most radical leftist of all time, but she didn't look like, she had the Republican makeup and all that. So I get to the counter and I'm like, you should just get your manager because I already know what I'm about to ask you for. It's not like, well, no, you need to tell me what's going on. So I tell her what's going on. And I'm like, and they don't have any more. This was the last bike. The next bike up, we have to spend like over $200 for. And he's 8, almost 9. Like, we're not doing that. So she's like, well, you can just bring it back because I didn't even bring the bike. I'm just like, I need an inner tube. You can just bring it back and drive over to Peachtree City. They have nice bikes there. Well, no, I don't want to do that. So, like I said, get your manager.
Mhm.
Like, because now this is our third trip. Like, what the inner tube cost, I've spent that in gas just getting back and forth, right?
Right.
I just
Mhm.
want you to give me an inner tube.
Yeah,
Like, give me an inner tube.
literally.
So she's like, him and Han, well, she spots the manager. She spots 2 managers, like, talking, right? Just so happened right in front of the customer service desk. She tries to walk around the counter to go get them. And I can tell, like, she's hustling because she wants to get over there and tell them first. Because she's telling me, well, no, we can't do that. It's a safety issue. And I'm like, no, the safety issue is the fact that the inner tube is broken. Like,
Yeah.
you know, well, you can
Hello.
just buy another inner tube. No, ma'am, I don't want to do that. So I go over. The manager of the store is a black woman.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
explained the story. She's just like, yeah, go get the inner tube. That's fine. Just go back up to the customer service desk so they can, do whatever they need to do.
Yeah.
Give me the inner tube. So then we had to, by now it's 4 o'clock and you know, so that's
Yeah.
why I'm texting you. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it because I still got to take this kid on a bike ride. I promised him like that's what we were doing, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
I
No,
went on
that's
a bike ride. I almost died. Definitely almost died.
yeah.
It's been a while since my fat ass got on a bike.
Ah, that's so
But
funny.
yeah, so
But your
that
grandson
was
had
my
a good
day
time?
today. Yeah, he had a ball. He's so funny. So where we live, it's like it's rural. Like we're outside city limits and it's very hilly. So he kept walking the bike up the hill. And so he'd be like, Granny, wait, because I'm riding the bike. Like, I don't want
Uh-huh.
to stop. I'm gonna die if I stop.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But he had a good time. He should sleep good tonight. And as you know, I was once a young mom who loved to drop my kids off at their grandmother's house.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
And tomorrow's Monday. He can shower and go to bed and sleep real good and be ready for school tomorrow at this point. So
Yes,
good
absolutely. Good
times. Good
times.
times.
I love
How's your
that.
weekend going?
It's been good. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been chill at work. Like I've had all my guests that I've enjoyed, so that's been great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Has anyone, so, and I hate to even bring this up only because there was a school shooting the same day that is just not being discussed.
Mhm.
But have any of your clients mentioned what happened with Charlie Kirk? Like, is that a topic of conversation in your salon?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was actually going to be like my whole main topic of
Hmm.
discussion today.
Okay.
But also going like a little bit deeper into it the more that I've found out. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so I work at a pretty like liberal progressive salon. And
Hmm.
so probably other than maybe two people, um, maybe three, no one really cared about Charlie passing away.
Two or
Um,
three people that work there or clients
no, two or three like of my coworkers.
cared.
I don't know if I would necessarily say like they were crying, cared,
Uh-huh.
but like, oh, he has a family. And I would also say there's probably even more that like also thought that, but like they don't care that he died. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think. I don't think any of my clients or guests have brought it up, but yesterday was kind of like my first um, conversation, and I really had to navigate it carefully because I do like this guest, and she shared some great news with me. Like she and her husband are expecting, and they had been
Hmm.
trying for a really long time. And yeah, so just this congratulations. And then we're kind of chit chatting. And I think we just naturally kind of talked about, like, yeah, everything's been crazy with everything going on. Mind you, she is Mexican and like
Oh God.
a dark skin Mexican. Like,
Yeah.
no doubt of what she
Yeah.
is.
You're clearly
And
not white.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and she was like, yeah, I don't think he should have died, which, like, okay, everyone has their own opinion on who lives or dies. We don't care when it's state stationed, but what that's neither here or there.
Yeah.
Um, and then she's kind of talking about, like, he had kids and a wife and blah, blah, blah. And I was like,
He
yeah.
was, so his wife is obviously just as racist as him, and they were about to raise some racist ass kids. So just
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway.
No, for sure, for sure. Well, and I also like kind of brought that up. Also, mind you, she is married to a self-proclaimed white conservative.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Good times.
good times. But like, she's smart. You know what I mean? So, like, I really, again, had to navigate this conversation differently than if someone was just kind of ignorant and stupid, you know?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so I was telling her, I was like, yeah, I get that. But also, like, Charlie Kirk is on record saying that, like, if his daughter were
Mm-hmm.
and she got pregnant, he would force her to have that baby.
Also, the irony is not lost on me that the very last thing out of his mouth was talking about about gang violence, and then he was shot by a white man. Just saying.
Yes.
Just
Pin
saying.
that, because we're gonna
Yeah,
come
we'll
back
come
to
back
that.
to that. We'll
Yeah,
come back to
we're gonna
that.
come back to that. But also him talking about that, but also on public record saying that how we should bring back public executions. We should televise them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, words are powerful, you
Words
know?
matter.
And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and it's also, again, very interesting to see people's tunes change when we didn't know the identity of the shooter. And now that we do know the identity of the shooter, it's like, whoa, man, let's not jump to conclusions here. It's like, oh, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to, like, the Democrats?
Yeah, the crazy liberal leftist trans people.
Yeah, that love to murder.
Yeah. I love, my husband earlier was like, why do they keep bringing up trans people? He's like, trans people don't give a shit about anything except being trans and getting their fucking hormones. Why do they keep talking about
Literally. And also, like, which one is it? Are they trying to play the sports or are they trying to shoot up? Like, which one is it?
Pick a struggle, man.
Yeah, because the numbers, the math ain't math in here.
Yes. Okay, so then if that's where we're spending the majority of our time today, then I say we maybe back up, because I definitely there were two things that I definitely wanted to talk about today. And it can just be ever so briefly, but we as a country always talk about China and communism and propaganda and the whole nine. But I don't know. And there's also so many different things happening at the same time. So I don't know what news you've gotten and what you haven't. So I wanted to make sure that we brought up Ms. Tori Branham here in the state of Georgia, who is currently running for Congress, who called ICE on the Hyundai plant down here. Have you seen this story? It's all like South Korean people who, mind you, don't even live here. They were here to like set up the Hyundai factory and train all of the workers, because all of the information that we need to like make this thing run smoothly is written in Korean. So they were like here to like build and train, right? And then they were going home. Nobody wants to stay in this shithole, but okay. And I want to mention too that Hyundai is it's the single biggest economic investment made by a company in the history of Georgia. Okay. This heifer running for Congress calls ICE. South Korea sends a fucking plane to come get their people. So now all of those people are gone. There's nobody to finish building the plant. There's nobody to train people for the 9,000 jobs that plant was supposed to bring to this area. And that's just here in Georgia. There are other South Korean companies this is gonna it's gonna ripple out. Like, it's going to hit Georgia hard, but that is gonna ripple out across the country. So
yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that yeah.
And
somebody
I feel
said
like
that South Korea came to America to build those factories, because we are like when I say we, I mean the American government specifically. We are to South Korea what America thinks of Mexico, right? Like we're the laborers, we're the cheap labor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, fuck me, man.
Well, and I was going to say, I feel like we also kind of saw that with Florida when Florida had some of those. Oh, if we find out anyone, illegal is working for you, we're going to fine you like $10,000 per person. And so what happened? There was a big migration from like down south up here to the Midwest, which now, like looking back, it doesn't shock me that like ICE and other governments are like now starting to move to the Midwest because that's where they all went, after they were, kicked out and shit. And then Florida got hit by those hurricanes, or that one hurricane, and the rebuild took forever. I remember people going down in the summertime like that following year and saying like, "Oh yeah, like things still aren't like back up and running." And it's like, I bet, because they lost all their people that would like do that. And also the technique is different, right? Like I also, people don't understand that either. Some of y'all want to like belittle these immigrants that like they're literally coming here to have a better life, and by any means necessary will do what they can to provide for themselves and for their family. And I saw a video of like some Latino men doing like roof work versus like an all white team doing it. Big difference. When it
it's
came down,
skilled labor.
yes,
It's skilled labor. The same way you're not gonna let the lady at the grocery store cut your hair for you is the same way I don't want a white guy on my roof. Like, no, it's skilled labor. And I was talking with someone in the salon this week about how they love to talk about how, or they were talking about, now it seems less so, like somebody said the cruelty is the point. It initially was all about, oh, we want the criminals gone and this and that. Then why do you keep showing up at people's jobs? Why are you showing up at schools? The criminals are not at work. The criminals are not
hospitals, churches. Like,
yes.
hello.
Yeah. Insanity. And then the other thing, I just don't know how far and wide this news went, but I know you saw when the young lady, the young ladies who were Jeffrey Epstein's victims of, ST, did the press conference, and y'all's little president purposely flew. I wrote it down because I didn't want to mess it up. He purposely flew military planes, and if you watch the news conference that they did, you can see and hear them. He purposely flew military planes extremely low, 800 AGL, which is the legal limit. Over that, like, for what? Why are we doing an air show right now on like a random Tuesday? Why?
Your tax dollars, by the way.
Tax dollars. How many millions of dollars did it take for you to intimidate witnesses? Like, we all see it, bro. We all see it. How long we gonna let this keep going?
Yes.
Let's see what. Oh, D. Hey, D. She's here every week.
I know. Shout out.
Shout out to D. She says the controversial blonde, a young sister, she's mounting a campaign to challenge the idiot that reported the. Okay. But I mean, is that 20? Is that next year? Because I know I just saw they were having a special election because a congressperson, I don't know her district, but so whoever is the U.S. treasurer now used to be, I believe, a congressperson here in Georgia. And so they're now the U.S. treasurer because, you know, Donald Trump loves a lackey. And so they're doing a special election to replace his seat. There's a lot going on. So I don't know if you know, D, if that election is like coming up, or is that in 2026? Oh, it is. That's the one? Yeah. Okay. So there you go.
Noise. Good to know.
All right. Yeah. So I just thought that was wild. Like, we really just let this man do whatever.
We do. And, you know, I always go back to, like, if, again, we're not even a full year into it. Every time I think that, I'm like, but yeah, we're not even a full year, and like, look how much he's done, and like how much chaos he's caused. And it's like, Democrats, what have we been doing? What were y'all doing?
And by
What were
we,
y'all
I
doing
mean
for,
y'all, because
yeah, yeah, right,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah. What were y'all
like,
doing
y'all are
for like
pissing me off with this
years?
shit. Like, they're just being, no, absolutely not. Immediately no for me. I can't. I can't.
I can't.
Oh, D says it's 2026. Okay, cool. Yeah, they're literally just letting this man do whatever. And so it'll be interesting to see going back. I mean, that was all I had. So I don't know if you have anything else before we dig into Charlie Kirk, because I'm fine to just like hash over it for the next hour.
Yeah.
What I am waiting to see is how many Democrats show up at his funeral. Cory Booker, Hakeem Jeffries, I'm looking at you. Just saying.
Boo.
Yeah.
Boo.
D says it's going to take a generation to clean up this mess. I love that you're so optimistic. I love that you're so optimistic. I think that it's a wrap. I think that we are literally, and we've talked about this before. I think we're literally living through the fall of the United States right now. Like, it's a wrap. I don't think there's any
Next year
saving
will
it.
be 250 years.
Right on schedule.
Right
Ding,
on
ding, ding.
schedule.
Yeah, I think it's a wrap.
Oh my gosh, with all of this, before we get into the Charlie Kirk situation, because I do want to like somewhat talk about the unknown number.
Yes. Let's go there.
And did you by chance get a chance to watch the other one, the tall hot blonde?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
My jaw was in my lap at the
All
end.
right. Yeah. Let's talk. Yeah, let's talk about those before we dive into the Charlie Kirk.
So, first of all, if you're a longtime watcher, then you know Impad loves her some movies and television. And 97% of the time when she asks me if I've seen something, it's almost always no. But last time we got together, she was telling me about this. It's Unknown Caller or Unknown Number?
Unknown Number.
Okay, on Netflix. All right. So I did. I watched it almost immediately, like within a few days, I think, after you and I were on last. And then I hopped on Twitter because I love to get on Twitter I still love Black Twitter. I can't quit Black Twitter. And I'm just trying to figure out why we're not talking about the fact that the mom was a pedophile. Like, besides the fact that she's a psychopath, like, and why didn't they have like a social worker there or something when they went to the house and like, bitch, we know it's you. And she was like hanging all over her daughter. I wanted to fight her, like get her off of her. Mm-hmm. The baby looks so just traumatized. She was traumatized.
Oh yeah, you could see her literally like disassociating in real time.
But but the fact that we're not talking about how this broad is a pedophile is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, because even when they broke up, when her daughter and the boyfriend broke up, and the boyfriend started dating the girl in a whole other town, and this bitch done stalked down the girl in the other town, like, she's
Mm-hmm.
a pedophile. And the
Mm-hmm.
way they just let her sit there and tell her story like it wasn't her at the end. What? Dee said because of you, she discovered the White Lotus, and the White Lotus was fucking fire. I watched it too. That was fire. I can't wait for the next season.
It's so funny that you were like 97% of the time when you ask me if I watch something, it's no. My my coworker the other day, she was like, "Oh my gosh, I finally started watching Abbott Elementary, and it's so good." I've been
It's so
telling that bitch
good.
to watch that for years, and she watched it because her white husband came home and was like, "Have you heard about this show, Abbott Elementary?" And
That's
she was like,
hilarious.
"Oh yeah, Mariah's been telling me I should watch that, and I would like it." Yeah.
Hilarious. Hilarious. Yeah, I think I've told you I've seen episodes of Abbott Elementary and it is good, but at the time that I saw the individual episodes, I wasn't in a space where I could binge watch a show. So I just
Oh
never
yeah.
went back to it. So,
Yeah.
but what I did see of it, it was really good. It was brilliant and funny, and
And I also have to remember, like, people don't intake certain media the way that I intake it. So, but yeah, Unknown Caller was wild. I also thought the same thing, like, why wasn't she charged with like any kind of sexual assault or like pedophilia? And I also think it's weird that she claims that she didn't send like the first couple of messages, but
she's a fucking liar.
yeah, but she sent the rest of them. And to me, like looking back, yes, are the first couple messages like fucked up? Sure, but not as fucked up as like you should go
Yeah.
yourself. And so
Yeah.
it's like I would have rather you confess to the first ones and not the rest of the ones.
Yeah.
Like,
she's a psychopath.
huh?
Like, yeah. Telling your own child to, like you said, self-delete, the way that she talked about her daughter's body, the like really vulgar thing. Like, what was she, like 12? Wasn't she like 12 or 13?
Yes,
Like, she was a
13.
baby.
Yes.
And you're sending her these vulgar messages. Like, I know when I was 12, and I was, to be fair, I was a late bloomer, but when I was 12 and 13, I was not thinking about sex at all.
Right.
And I just can't imagine my mom sending me messages like that. Like, girl, bury her under the jail. Bury her under the jail. Yeah. And then the way they just let her sit there and tell her story. Also, Chloe, I think Chloe is a bully. She definitely is a bully. And the fact that her dad was a cop definitely tracked. And the way that her parents were bullying that little girl, like over something her mom was doing. Like, yeah, it was so messed up. It was
I saw a tweet and someone said Kendra is like the psychological bully that you should be scared of, like the big bully, but Chloe and her parents, those are the bullies that you deal with like every day.
Yeah.
And yeah, it really I was like, "Oh, yeah, for sure." And I had a guest the other day, he said he was watching it. And I was like, "Yeah, like what did you think?" And he was like, "Oh, well, I haven't finished it." He was like, "I really didn't get into it." And I was like, "How far did you get in?" And he was like, I was like, "Did you find out like who was sending the text?" And he was like, "No, but like it doesn't make sense on who it could be." He was like, "No way it could be the the parents or like whatever." And I was like,
why would you even think that?
Yeah.
Why would you even think that?
Well, and
that
he even said, he even said he was like, they've been interviewing them. Like, you're telling me that the perpetrator we're seeing, and I was like, and I said, Ted Bundy represented himself in court.
I mean, and also, let's be clear, trigger warning for the palm colors. But like, it does take it a certain amount of sickness to do what they've done to get us to where we are in this country. From the moment they landed on Plymouth Rock, these kids of colonizers have done a lot of really sick, degenerate shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, as shocking as it was, it's also not shocking at all, because why wouldn't you do that? You've done every damn thing else, so why wouldn't you do that? It's just gross.
What did you think of the Munchausen, like the
digital Munchausens? I mean,
yeah.
Well, again, I think it tracks. I actually used to be friends with someone that I self-diagnosed as having Munchausen's. We're not friends anymore, but she's always something was going on with her kids, always. So it makes sense that that would evolve as digital media has evolved, as technology has evolved. So that makes sense. But also, again, I feel like it's an excuse, and that the real issue is that she is a PDF file. And we're just
Yeah.
pretending like that's not happening.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. When I heard the Munchausen, what did you call it?
Munchausen's.
Yeah. By what though? I feel like you said
Munchausen. So Munchausen's by proxy, I think, is like when you are purposely making your children sick.
Right, right.
Right.
Did you say via? But I thought you said like via online or like via message.
Oh, I said digitally or by technology.
Yes, yeah, digital Munchausen. Yeah, I definitely think that that's like real because here in, well, I don't know, maybe I got to look into it more. I could see that being real because I was going to bring up, here in Missouri, actually in O'Fallon, back in 2008, we had that case where I think she was 13 or 14, girl, and throughout the investigation, they found out she was being cyberbullied by what seemed to be like another, teenager's profile. Well, actually, it was like another girl's mom that did this, and she never got any jail time because there were no laws or rules about cyberbullying. And to tie in with Kendra from Unknown Number, because she only got a year and a half in prison. To me, that doesn't seem like enough time for what she did. And the fact that she was still able to contact her daughter in prison is
absolutely not
wild. And have like
white privilege.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then to tie in the tall hot blonde, like all of these women, these moms were painted as like, oh, well, she was lonely, or oh, she was mentally ill, or like, again, some excuse of like why they did this. And I was kind of like, okay, but then to go back to Unknown Number, people thought Lauren was doing this to herself. So at what point do these little girls, they get called fast, they get called sluts, they get called this and that. At what point do these, malicious, like, intent little girls go to like, oh, well, she was just lonely. She's like this like helpless damsel in distress older woman. Like, huh?
Yeah. You know what's really wild? When I lived in Indiana, there was this big case. It was happening at Avon High School, which was right next door. I lived on the far west side of Indianapolis. Avon was literally right there. I cut kids' hair from Avon High School all the time. There was this thing going on. It happened, I don't remember the year, but it was huge. I'm pretty sure it made national news. Where somebody was sending text messages with like not naked, but like very scantily clad pictures of this little girl that went to Avon High School. They were sending it to like all these people in the high school. They were sending like bomb threats to the school. Like, and it started happening before Christmas break. It happened all during Christmas break. The bomb threats happened the week they were supposed to return. So like that week after Christmas break, the kids actually ended up staying home. There was like they were having a meeting at the school. Like all the parents and the school administrators and everything were having like a meeting, a community meeting at the school to like figure out what's going on. And somebody was sitting in the meeting like tweeting. This was back when Twitter was still really popping. They were sitting in the meeting tweeting like what was happening at the meeting, right? I think ultimately they ended up saying that they like caught the person who was doing it and it was somebody that was in another country. And just now, right in this moment, I'm like, I wonder if it was that little girl's mom or dad. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because no one ever went to jail for it. They're like, they brought in the FBI. Like, it was a whole thing. It went on for months. They had made a Facebook page and were like making threats about pow-powing the school up. Like, it was a whole thing for months.
That does sound familiar.
And then it just like went away. But now I'm wondering, like, was that one of the parents? And they just smacked her on the hand and was like, don't do that anymore.
And I mean, we saw that with Tall Hot Blonde, because you had, yes, like Thomas deserves to be in jail for because he murdered somebody. And also he posed as an 18-year-old because, you know, whatever. But also like the fact that that mom like didn't get into any trouble is also crazy, because you were posing, first of all, as your daughter. So you were posing as an 18-year-old, also thinking that you were talking to another 18-year-old. And then you were also taking explicit pictures of your own daughter and taking her underwear to send to grown men.
Yeah, because who knows who else she did that to? She probably did that to multiple people.
They said that. They said that. Yeah, like I don't know how old like the other guys were, but yeah, I mean clearly she thought Thomas was 18. So
insanity.
So
yeah, I have often said, like, when it comes to the kids of colonizers, that not much surprises me, but both of those two movies had my jaw in my lap. Okay. In my lap. I was like, what the cart?
Yes. I never want to disappoint with a movie or show recommendation.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's all I wanted to say on those two things. Oh, well, before I wrap it up, but then can also kind of tie into Charlie Kirk. Going back to like, yeah, as a society, you know, viewing young women, young girls as like sluts and all these derogatory terms. But then as they grow up into these women that do cause harm on other people, it's like, oh, well, like, poor thing. She's just lonely, or like she's just going through like a midlife crisis, blah, blah, blah. And then it's kind of like, but it's opposite for men, right? Like when they're young, they get all the excuse. They get all the benefit of the doubt. It's just boys being boys. And then it's like when they become adults and they were raised on this essentially I can do whatever I want. Now it's like, well, you're a predator, you're a perpetrator. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Well, and as a society, do we even say that? Because, like I said, we just saw the whole president of the United States intimidate witnesses on live television.
Well, he
And
has
like,
money.
yeah. Well, okay, fair. He's got
He
affluenza.
can avoid those
He's got
consequences. Yeah, he can
Yeah.
avoid those consequences because he can buy his way
Yeah.
out of it.
I mean, and to be clear, even those excuses for women only work if you're a white woman.
Oh
Very
yeah.
specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Because had that been a black woman, she would not have been hanging all over her daughter like that. She would be in jail for way more than a year and a half. Like there would have been real consequences.
Well, we've seen, black and brown teenagers who have killed their abusers serve more time than Kendra has.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh, I hate it here. Okay, so my little theory on this whole Charlie Kirk situation. Like I said, I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise. I was not sad by it. I saw the video. I could be heartless. Whatever you want to call me, go ahead. I literally don't care. You know how I sleep. You know how I sleep at night peacefully.
And what you're not going to do, what I will never do, is allow, again, a fucking colonizer to tell me how to feel about a racist, misogynist. Like, no, you don't get to tell me how to relax. I feel exactly the same way about Charlie Kirk as he would have felt about me if that had happened to me.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that said empathy. What did he say? It's a woke term and it doesn't even really exist. Okay, then.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Yeah, stand on
my
that.
empathy right back in my little pocket here.
Mm-hmm. Also, me to mourn a fascist
is insane.
Couldn't be me.
Insane.
But it got me thinking, because again, I feel like if this were to happen 10 years ago, because I've grown, we've grown since then. If this were to happen 10 years ago, whether it be Charlie Kirk or someone other, influential like him, I think I would have immediately gone out and made, I don't know, made some kind of caption to purposefully, yeah, exactly. And not to say that my past posts these past couple days don't do that, but if you are going to come at me, you better come correctly, you know what I mean? And so I wanted to wait until we kind of figured out motives, shooter, all that. And so to find out that the shooter is also within the same Trump manosphere dome, right? Because that's what we're going to call this. The Trump manosphere dome was the shooter.
And but apparently there's different gangs within that dome. That's why I call it gang violence, because there's different factions.
Yeah, we're gonna
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. Because you have the manosphere incel ecosystem, and at their core is misogyny, obsession with the alpha beta hierarchy, resentment towards women, Andrew Tate, Jordan Peterson's, Elliot Rodger, Alik
Nick
Mendocian.
Fuentes or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Britton,
All that.
yeah, Dylan
Yeah,
Roof, you know, all those.
yeah.
But then you also have like cultural enablers. And so you have, and their core, so you have like host and platformers. And their core is like they don't claim supremacy themselves, but they normalize it by, you know, platforming, softening, or refusing accountability. So you have Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, Elon Musk, you know, all those people. But really, when it comes to Charlie Kirk, he doesn't really follow or fall into those categories necessarily. He definitely like dips his toes in there, but he is more of a faith-based supremacy and like Christian nationalism. And their core is America equals Christian nation, patriarchy equals God's order, morality as a weapon. And so, again, you have Charlie Kirk, Alex Jones, Mike Pence, Ron DeSantis, good old Josh Hawley, hey, Ted Cruz, and Franklin Graham. And so then when it comes to Charlie Kirk's killer, yes, Dee said Nick. Yep, I'm going to talk about him, Nick Fuentes or whatever his name is. Yeah.
Nick Fuentes, which is a very Latin sounding last name for the record.
But so he is kind of in his, or people like him, they're kind of in their own category. Okay. Because they're
called groypers. I don't know what that.
Yeah, I'm not going to use that term because do you know who Richard Spencer is?
It's familiar.
Yeah, so he is a identity-based supremacist. And their core beliefs are like whiteness equals sacred, heritage must be preserved, open about race. And so others like him, you have David Duke, Stephen Miller, yeah, those people. Okay. And so Nick Fuentes kind of falls in between Charlie Kirk and Richard Spencer. Because
who is Richard Spencer? Remind me.
So he is he's a white supremacist that he essentially started like this modern alt-right movement because he is educated. Like he has a bachelor's degree in writing, I think. Like sounds like he comes from money.
Doesn't Donald Trump have a degree?
No, yeah. I mean Richard actually like has credentials. Yeah.
Okay. Like, I mean, a degree does not equal intelligence.
Yeah. That's why I was like, he has credentials. I don't know if we want to call it intelligence, but and also same with Ben Shapiro. But again, Ben Shapiro isn't as extreme as Richard Spencer because Richard Spencer doesn't fuck with Charlie Kirk, Nick Fuentes, Ben Shapiro because they don't necessarily want to incite violence themselves. They don't mind that violence is happening, but they're not going to do it themselves. Richard Spencer will do violence himself.
Okay. I gotcha.
And Richard Spencer was also, I think he was behind the Charlottesville rally.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's very like, no, if we're going to be, you know, white supremacists, we're going to march the streets, like very open about it. Okay. And so what we are seeing that's happening in this dome are essentially these alpha men, quote unquote, trying to find their ultimate alpha. And with all of this, like, under the dome, I'm now starting to wonder if a lot of like mass shootings, especially mass shootings that have like, you know, their own manifesto talking about like the incel, all that bullshit, if that wasn't them like proving their worth of like, you know, trying to get into this, what is it, the identity based supremacy,
Hmm.
because also, um yes, the faith based supremacy, like I said, the violence is built in. So historical crusades, slavery, segregation, witch trials, all enforced with scripture. Modern is abortion clinic bombings, anti-LGBTQ hate crimes, law banning abortion and gender affirming care, legal violence. Their tactic uses institutional power, law, courts, churches, schools, wraps oppression in morality and family values. Like I said, figures: Charlie Kirk, Nick Fuentes, Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson. Um, and the appeal gives delusion men a sense of righteous authority. God made you the head of the household. And then identity based supremacy, you know, they're more of that ethno nationalism. And that's where like this hatred within the dome comes from, essentially, is the faith-based supremacy is like, oh no, we're American based, whereas like the identity based supremacy is more like heritage, so they know like white people didn't come from America.
Yeah. So I have two theories also. So one, I don't know if it was planned or not, but what I can tell you is there's a lot of conspiracy theories floating around, and just because it's a conspiracy doesn't mean it's not true. So I'll say that.
Hmm.
I don't know. But what I will say, so I have two theories. So the first one is that I wondered if it was a setup because Charlie Kirk did help Donald if he won fair and square, which, can be debated. But let's assume that's true. Charlie Kirk was a huge reason why he got so many additional votes this election, because of the Christian nationalism, because he got, a lot of Christian nationalists to get up and get out and vote. And since we know Donald Trump is dangling by a thread, like he's not okay. That's clear. You can look at him. I don't know if you guys saw the pictures of his face, like drooping, like he's not okay.
Hmm.
So within that dome that you were just kind of building on that and them trying to find the next alpha, I wonder if Charlie Kirk was getting too powerful and they weren't feeling that, because just like with Elon when he was helping Trump through Starlink, and then they fell out and you don't really hear too much from Elon anymore. But I just wonder if Charlie Kirk was getting too powerful, because if he has that much control over a voter base, then the government can't and if they can't control him, then like he's no longer of use to them. So that was one theory. The other theory is 12 hours before that happened, photo evidence of Donald Trump buying a child dropped in the
Hmm.
form of that Epstein birthday book with the picture with the underage child. His face is blurred out, and the big check that's like for $23,000 taken in front of Mar-a-Lago. And the caption that basically says, like, yeah, Donald Trump just bought this girl for $23,000. So we kind of needed a distraction because I mean, I know Charlie Kirk had asked about the Epstein files,
Mm-hmm.
just prior to that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know, but um I didn't ask for this.
Oh yeah. Well, and
I
I
don't
will
want to bring
say,
it here.
like, unfortunately, women are one of the common denominators for both the faith-based supremacy and the identity-based supremacy. And I hate to say it like this way, but I guess like women within those spaces hold up their own roles, right? So like in the faith-based, um women are, that's their duty, that's their god-given duty. You were made to provide babies, take care of them, and like take care of the house and cook and clean and worship your man. um
And that's why the trad wife thing is popping so
mhm,
hard. Hmm.
exactly. Where was I? Oh yeah. So the shared like DNA with the manosphere and the incel ecosystem, common grievance is loss of male power, rise of feminism, women out of control, fear of being replaced sexually and socially. Their shared narratives, faith guys, women must submit because God says so. And then you have the identity guys. This is where like the women are becoming the common denominator. Women must submit to preserve the race. So you have in both scenarios, like women, you're just essentially
And like,
just forced to make babies
yeah,
to
yeah.
continue this narrative of these men.
They're just
Um,
gonna bully white women into continuing to uphold white supremacy. Not
mhm,
that they need to be bullied. There's plenty of them that do it willingly and happily. But
mhm,
like,
yep.
if you don't
And
do it willingly and happily, then we're just gonna
we're
force you
gonna
to.
force you. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm. Which
Um.
again ties back into why the faith-based, like their tactics, they go more institutional power, and they say it's not violence because it's law. You know.
Yeah. I wanted for D to clarify this comment because it says, and now he's trying to hold Trump accountable for the Epstein file and speaking against is not real. I'm just not sure I understand what you're saying there. So if you would clarify that, that would be awesome. Yes. So I did see this. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
Impact, the book that was published on
Mhm.
Amazon the day before Charlie Kirk's unaliving.
Mhm.
Yeah, literally. And that, yeah, I don't doubt for a moment that the powers that be knew exactly what was going on.
Well, and I don't think people also realize, like, these are, I mean, some of these people that I just talked about, right? These are people that we know about because they are so public.
Yeah.
We don't know the people that are deep underground, like in
Hmm.
these, um,
Hmm.
what do they call them? Like when you're shouting like into the void, like who's listening or whatever.
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
so, again, to go back with like these mass shootings and mass shooters, when they have these manifestos and these books and like this essential whole plan, down to like, I'm going to myself, and when I do it, I want you to tell my story.
Hmm.
It's like, I think us as a society have always been like, oh, they're talking to us, right? Like as a whole. But I think they're talking to each other. Again,
Mm.
like within this white
Hmm.
supremacy dome. that Trump has unified. Because that too, they all unified under Trump because he was saying what they wanted to say out loud with no consequences. And they were like, finally, we have someone who is speaking our language. So you know what? They all put down their own differences within their white space communities and was like, you know, I'm gonna put aside that you're Jewish and I'm Christian. We can both come together and say that, like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So now that Trump is in office, and like you said, clearly his health is declining, and also he is not well liked, right? Like his own country.
Everybody says he's a horrible person.
Yeah,
no,
nobody likes him. Nobody likes him. So
he's
now,
ugly.
yeah. So now I think, and also within the implosion of, I feel like you can say, or you can take everything that I've said and apply it within just Trump and his like circle. You had Elon Musk, you have Andrew Tate, you have all these men that serve a different purpose, but the main goal is to hold Trump up, right? Well, now Trump is falling, and that is going to fall onto those pillars, and now they're trying to figure out, well, who's going to be that next pillar that's going to take the stand, and now they all can't fucking get along. Because again, to me, I think it breaks down into like these two major pillars of the faith-based supremacist and then the identity-based supremacist.
Yeah. And I live in the Bible Belt, so I definitely hear that. But white supremacy or white domination, I need to stop. I keep saying that I'm going to stop calling it white supremacy because words have power. White domination, I think, is powerful enough that they will continue to, like, even though they're all fighting, when Charlie Kirk was killed, they still all got together enough to be like, all this leftist liberal, it's all these crazy trans people, they all were still all on one accord when they were talking about who did it, even though they didn't even have a suspect in custody yet, right? And now there's still, like, right before we hopped on, I saw an article from The Guardian, and The Guardian is a source that I typically trust because they're good about checking their sources and yada, yada, yada. So there was an article. I didn't actually see the article. It was Michael Harriot posted 2 screenshots on Twitter. But Michael Harriot is someone that I trust and that I know he's not posting anything that he didn't research himself. So the first article, and it reminded me because Dee posted this earlier and we hadn't talked about it yet, but they're saying that his roommate is cooperating with the Popo, and they say they were in a relationship. And his roommate is male, to be clear. And so the article on Twitter was, it was an article from The Guardian, and it said something to the effect of, like, someone that he went to high school with had said that he was the only leftist in a family full of hard right Republicans, blah, 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 right? And then The Guardian posted after that, like, edited the article after that to say that this so-called high school friend now couldn't remember the details of their relationship. So I don't even know that I trust any of that information, to be clear. And not to mention, there are plenty of gay far-right Looney Tunes people. Like, there are plenty of gay people who vote.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So them being gay doesn't necessarily mean still that they're liberal leftist loonies or whatever they're calling it. But they all got on one accord real quick to declare war. Like, when in history has the wife of a, and it even bothers me that they say he was assassinated, because like who is he to have been assassinated? You mean shot? Like he was
Mhm.
shot?
Mhm.
And I think Chris Rock actually did a comedy thing back in the day, and he said something like, Martin Luther King was shot. I mean, was assassinated. JFK was assassinated.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? Charlie
Yeah.
Kirk was shot. And he
Mhm.
didn't say Charlie Kirk, he said whoever he was talking about. But like, who even are you? You're not, he wasn't assassinated. He was fucking shot on national
Mhm. Oh, for sure.
TV.
Yeah, and that's why, again, this is my own little like theory deep dive that I was doing. Um but the more that I'm thinking, and not to say that we dismiss, when these crazies come out and talk about like this is our message, and if you're not going to fall in line, like prepare for the whatever their threat
Mhm.
is. I'm starting to think though, I don't think that was ever about us, right? Like, no matter what, no matter if we like changed our skin tone, whatever, depending on what group, they would never allow us in fully at the end of the day. So now that, again, that they've kind of segregated themselves to just each other, it's turning into, you're either going to fall into this faith-based supremacy where it's
Mhm.
more what's that word, palatable or whatever, more
Palatable.
digestible,
Mhm.
um because if we can change the narrative of everything to make it seem God's will, anyone who opposed, well, you're just being opposed to God's will. But
Mhm.
if you're going more at a identity based supremacy, well, that's going to fall into the blonde hair, blue eyes, white skin narrative.
Mhm.
And not everyone who is faith based, right, has that blue blue eyes, blonde hair, white skin.
Come on, Hitler.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. At this point, I'm just like, let me just stay my ass out the way. But did you see how a bunch of people are losing their jobs because of what they're saying? And this is why I appreciate so much being self-employed. But because of what they're, things they've said on the internet about Charlie Kirk. Um,
yeah, we actually had someone try to do that to one of our stylists.
mm,
Um, I haven't put where I worked in my personal social media other than like my Instagram. And I feel like now my Instagram is a little bit more tamed. But even then,
mm,
like, I personally didn't have anyone reach out to my jobs and try to get me fired. But
mhm,
recently, one of my coworkers, he commented on something, and someone posted a review, a Google review on our salon, and like screenshotted his like statement or whatever, and was like, I'm going to tell everyone. Also, mind you, this person has never been to the salon,
yeah,
but was like, I'm never coming here. You lost a customer, and I'm going to tell everyone like not to come here. And it's like, okay.
good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Like that
Because
could have been an
nobody wanted to
email,
deal with you anyway,
babes.
baby. Yeah,
Like, no one,
literally.
we don't want you. How about that? Did you ever think
How about
about that?
that? Yeah.
What if we
You're
didn't
probably
want
a
to do your
horrible
hair?
tipper. You're probably late.
Yeah. Like, bye.
Yeah. It is interesting though how much gas and air they're giving to the Charlie Kirk situation. But like I said, like barely mentioned the children in Colorado who were shot. And the Minnesota House Speaker who was killed. in a shooting at her Brooklyn Park home,
Mm-hmm.
along with her husband. And that same day, State Senator John Hoffman and his wife were shot and wounded in a separate but related incident. And that barely gets any airtime, but like this random podcaster, this is what we're talking about.
Did you see though too? Whatever like business he started up, his other business partner, I guess was a big like COVID denier and died of COVID.
Who is this?
Charlie Kirk's like business partner. Is it for Turning
Oh,
Point or whatever?
yeah, Turning
Um,
Point. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
good for
yeah, his
him.
business partner died of
Good for
COVID,
him.
and then you have Charlie Kirk, who we can
Got
all,
his
and
public
that's the thing,
execution that he
right? Like,
wanted.
yeah, we can all find any video, any tweet, like of his words saying what he had to say, and that's how he went out.
Yeah, he said that people were going to have to sacrifice their lives for us to keep our Second Amendment
Yeah.
rights. So thanks to the
Shots and
servants of the
prayers.
gospel. Shots and prayers
Shots
and
and prayers.
concepts of caring.
Yeah.
Also, and then I want to get to this thing that Dee put on here about Africa turning off Google. I just did the shortest of Google searches, and it's not quite that cut and dry, apparently. So I'll have to go back and look at that. What was it? There, I'm missing a page. So there is a connection. Oh, no, just kidding. This isn't Charlie Kirk. This was actually going back to that Shane Tamura kid that killed another CEO in New York City a few weeks ago. Yeah, that's something totally different. Sorry.
No, all good.
Huh?
All good.
Yeah. So Dee says, can we talk about the African continent turning off Google? So I just did a quick AI search. So to be fair, I haven't done any. This is the first time ever hearing of it. But it said no, the continent of Africa did not turn off Google, though some viral social media content may suggest otherwise. The recent stories you may have encountered refer to the activation of a new independent internet infrastructure, the Continental Internet Exchange, which aims to reduce reliance on Western tech companies of internet access and speed within Africa, which I think is brilliant, and they should.
Oh,
I
it's probably that
love
one. It's probably that one guy, right?
uh Burkina Faso. What's his name? So, well, this is the whole continent, though, it says.
Oh,
So it's a continental internet thing. But I love that African nations and like several islands got their independence in the last few years. I love that um, countries that are either Black or people of color are finally shirking off the the cuffs of colonialism, for lack of a better word, and are just realizing like we don't need to be dependent on you. Like y'all are not okay. It's okay. We got it.
mhm.
We got it. And
Yeah.
if they're gonna reclaim their independence, now is the time. Like you want to get you want to get America up out of your shit. Now is the time because we're
Mm,
not in position to be able to do shit about it. So
mhm.
reclaim your shit, kings and queens. I'm glad
Yeah.
I don't have an employee. Good for
Well, and
people.
I feel like it kind of goes back because I will say I've kind of been annoyed with the whole like, violence is never the answer. He didn't deserve to go out that way, blah, blah, blah. Well, what's going to happen when Trump, like, again, we're not even a year into to his presidency. What are we gonna do when he cuts off like all of our supplies, all of our
Yeah.
resources?
Yeah.
What do y'all think's
Yeah.
gonna happen then?
Yeah. Sorry, my
So,
hubby's down there cooking. You hear him having a sneezing fit.
oh
I'm like, it
no.
must be well seasoned down there. You know, it
Uh,
ain't seasoned if you ain't sneezing.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't.
and
Go ahead.
France, I think Dee said, yeah, France is burning. So is Nepal. I don't know if you've been seeing any
I
footage.
have not been seeing
Oh
that.
yeah, Nepal was gangster.
What do they got going on?
I don't know like the full details. It
Like
sounds
why?
like a more younger generation has kind of taken to the streets and
Okay.
I think burned parliament.
Oh, okay.
It looked like a very important building was on fire. I don't know if that's their
Okay.
parliament or what, but
Come on, young people.
yeah, I've been loving all the videos. There was
Okay.
one, and it was a guy, and he literally had like the police like barricade shield, a police helmet, and like an oversized vest. And at first, like I thought it was like their police, and he was just supporting like the protesters.
Yeah.
But upon like closer, I was like, oh my god, no, that's like a protester with the police shit. Just and he's
Love
just
that.
like, and I was like,
Love that.
hell yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yes,
That's a good
corrupted government and Generation Z. Yes. Okay, cool.
I
Yeah,
love
and it
it.
was Parliament. Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. Yeah. No,
But
I
I
love that.
know there was some misinformation being spread about that though, because on some sources they were trying to make it seem that the Gen Z crowd was being dramatic because it had something to do with like the internet or something. But it sounds like it was trying to turn into like a control over what they were seeing, like a
Yeah.
censorship essentially. And that's
Yeah.
what it
Yeah.
really
And one thing governments are always gonna do is spread propaganda. So we kind of always have to be cautious about accepting whatever the government puts out in any country, right? Because they have one job, stay in power, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So let's see.
And
What's up,
yes,
Bramble
Taj,
Ruth?
I did hear that. Discord.
Following a short ban on social media, young people spearheading this elected an interim prime minister on Discord. That's hilarious. I love it though. That's so random, but so Gen Z. So,
Mhm. Well, and it kind of, not to compare, but because I feel I go back and forth with AOC, but it kind of reminds me like AOC and some of those other younger people in government. They are like, entering like game chat rooms and like being more involved with, I guess, their
mhm,
followers or whatever.
mhm.
So
You're gonna you have to do
you have,
that.
yeah, for sure.
You have to do that. And I
Mhm.
used to be a big fan of AOC. She lost me actually in the last election when she played those Palestinian protesters.
Mhm.
So I just feel differently about her now than I did, a couple years ago.
Mhm.
But if you like the Democrats, the progressives, like if you want to win an election, you're going to have to figure out how to engage young people because
Mhm.
if if you don't, it's just going to be on fire. I don't know when. I've said many a time that every day I wake up and the world's not on fire, I'm still surprised every day. Like, damn, we still doing this? All right,
Mhm.
well, off we go. But like one of these days, enough is going to be enough.
Next
So
year.
I mean, because if you think that you can just continue to raise prices on everything, and not raise wages and not have billionaires pay taxes and not have health insurance or food, like, and you think you're just going to send the National Guard in? Okay. Let me know how that works out for you.
Right.
Let me know how that works out for you.
Literally.
What do you think about them sending the National Guard into like Chicago? I think they said Memphis is supposed to be. Are they in Chicago? I know they've been talking about it. Are they actually there?
I don't know if they're actually there, but I did hear that they were gonna
Talking about
come.
it.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I'm kind of starting to think that maybe things aren't developing fast enough for them. Because, I mean, not to be all like sad or whatever, but with love that Alligator Alcatraz is being like closed. Shout out to, I put it in our notes, the one tribe that did that. Pretty much gave them like a 60-day notice.
Period.
1 second.
Yeah, I didn't hear about this.
At least the last thing I heard.
Yeah. I didn't know about this.
I'm gonna mispronounce, but the Mikosuke Nation.
Okay.
Because it sounds like Alligator Alcatraz was going to be built on, was built on their land without permission. And so,
shocking.
Yeah. And so they were like, shocking. Gotta wrap it up.
Wow.
Get out of here. So, yeah, they're forced to close.
I didn't see that. For some reason, I thought a judge had ordered that. I didn't see that. So I'll definitely go and look that up.
Yeah, I mean, I think a judge did order it because of the nation.
They were like, yeah, no. Okay.
Yes, but because we have a country that builds more prisons than schools, and so I think the goal was to try and rally up as much people as they could and throw them into whether it's a prison, a work camp, whatever. And then, take over the nation, essentially. But now that it's not working out as planned, it's starting to self-implode.
Well, yeah, like, there are not more National Guard members than there are citizens. So I don't know how they thought that was going to work anyway. But I mean, I guess it worked in Germany at one time, so,
Well, and this again comes back into like the violent aspect, right? Like, sure, we as the people might have more people, but they have bigger weapons.
Yeah.
And so, I understand, and trust me, if we could go about it peacefully, and I was just telling someone the other day, I was like, you really want to make change and do it peacefully, stop going to work, stop paying your rent, stop paying back on your loans, stop with the money. And, that's easy to say, right? But then what happens when you get evicted? You get fired. You want to stop shopping at Walmart and Target. Well, guess what? How about we shut those down and take your grocery resources, And I will say why I liked having Davin on the show is because after hearing just many of her conversations, sometimes I do have to reel myself back in and be like, yeah, like if we do, and don't get me wrong, burn it down, absolutely. Mm-hmm. But then, like when we do that,
then what are people?
Yeah, then what are we gonna do?
Yeah,
and it's like, so we gotta pick or choose. Either we do it as a whole, because if we do it as a whole, they're not gonna fire us all. They're not gonna evict us all. But some of y'all don't want to do that because you're
Yeah.
so like ingrained into the system. And also the
Yeah.
system will punish you if you go against it.
Yeah. I was watching an interview recently. It was, I wish I could remember the guy's name, but he was Martin Luther King's attorney and like kind of a confidant for Martin Luther King. And so he was there during the bus boycott. And he was talking about how when they planned it, that one of the things that they had to do was like, okay, if you're going to insist that people don't ride the bus to get to the places that they need to get to, then you have to provide alternative means for them of transport, because you can't tell people don't ride the bus and then like leave them to figure it out for themselves because they're getting on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're all not riding the bus and now we're carpooling or we're creating other means of transportation, like people were literally taking their own personal cars and driving around and getting people where they needed to go, which makes sense because if you were going to pay to get on the bus, you can just give me the bus money. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And also give,
absolutely.
so, just about being organized, but we, you know, live under a system of white domination. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like constantly so it is hard to stay focused and
Mm-hmm.
stay consistent and stay, so
Well, and I also think too, like this is where difference of opinions can come into play, right?
mhm,
Like, okay, I can say like, oh, I prefer mustard, you may prefer ketchup, but we can both agree that the system isn't working. So
yeah,
even though I like mustard and you like ketchup, we can work together and like
hmm
fight this. Where
hmm
I draw the line, I'm not working with someone who wanted to kill, had no problem with me being under the bus or whatever, or other people like me, or other people that didn't fall into that majority. So, like,
hmm
no, I'm not fucking with that.
hmm yeah, absolutely not. Like if you were, I don't know what's going on with my algorithm, but I had this lady pop up in my YouTube like algorithm recently, and she was, and now she won't go away because I clicked on her video, so now she like keeps popping up. But she's, born and raised in Utah. I don't think she lives in Utah anymore, but born and raised in Utah, Mormon, trad wife, Christian nationalist, the whole nine. And the video that came up initially was like basically how she extricated herself from the MAGA cult. And now she's like woke, right? That's not what she
Mm.
said, but like that's basically the gist of it.
Mhm.
And for me, like good for you. I'm glad that's a thing. And also I'm still going to look at you like I'm still going to have my guard up. I still don't feel safe with you. Like good for you that you've come to that conclusion now and like you're figuring those things out now.
Mhm.
But like for us to stand together and work together would mean that I would have to be vulnerable with you, and I don't feel that that's a safe place for me to be vulnerable, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm glad you feel that way. But if you were just on the internet in 2020 talking about George Floyd died of a fentanyl overdose, then you don't get to be in my face in 2025 talking about we have to defeat fascism. Because,
Mhm.
like, go
Mhm.
get your white cousins and aunties and grandpas and shit and, like, y'all fight fascism and let me know. But, like, I'm cool. Just like, like the black kid in where was it recently where all the little he went to some party where he's the only black kid and they're trying to put him in the meat grinder. No, baby, won't
Mm.
never be me. I promise you
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
Won't never be me.
Yeah.
No. So, like, yes, we can disagree and work together in the ways that make sense,
Mm.
but it's gonna be like outside over there. Like, don't come by here. Don't
Yeah.
come by here.
Exactly. Well, we talked over our break. Do we? And I know you said you had to be somewhere at 8,
Yeah,
right?
I
Yeah.
have a sibling call at 8. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
I'm cool with wrapping it up if
that is fine with me.
okay.
It was a very eventful conversation. Lots of
Yeah.
topics were
Mm-hmm.
discussed.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks to Dee and Bramble Roots. Y'all always show up for us and we appreciate you. We love the discussions. I'm definitely going to look up some of these things. They were going off in here. So yeah, I'm going to come back and look at this stuff and do some more research and we'll talk again in 2 weeks.
Heck yeah.
Bye.
Cheers.